is Mr. here, and I'm back today with another a piece of my adventure, my journey as a Glaive, and I'm playing through the Final Fantasy Comrades editions online. I just completed the Jerusalem mission, and immediately after that, I don't have the footage, but it throws you to a cutscene where everybody's congratulating you, and it's like, oh man, you did amazing, you hunted down those innocent, mostly harmless beasts, so we need you to tackle something really important. So the woman that runs the power plant in Lestallum, they ask you to help them get something going, and I'm only at level 2. I just leveled up. I'm still pretty low level at this point, but I'm still just trying to make my way, make myself useful. You know, I just woke up from a coma because our wall got blew up, and this is 10 years after this, which kind of don't make sense to me as far as the timeline goes, because technically when Libertas pops up, spoilers by the way if you haven't seen the Glaive movie, I haven't seen it either, but I do know enough about what happens and pretty much where you are at the point in the game. At this point in the game, this is during Noctis's 10 years of sleep inside the crystal, and the world is falling apart, and we're trying to restore power back to the last remaining cities and Eos. But we meet Libertas, and apparently Libertas leaves during the Battle of King's Glaive, where Nyx takes in control of the ring, and he defends the city from the big monster and dies pretty much in spoilers by the way. So the timeline doesn't really make sense to me in that sense, but you know, I'm not trying to think too much about it. So we got the mission started. As you probably seen while I was talking through it, I have to go activate the other cable car, and of course me being a Glaive, even though Libertas and Core and all these other cable people are around, but they asked me. So, you know, I'm gonna do my due diligence. I don't want to just sit around being useless, so, and I like bashing heads, so we going in, and oh yeah, it's time. Previously, the thing that popped up on the screen at first before I actually started talking, I was upgrading my weapons. I had got a couple of items from the last hunt, and I have a couple of different power-ups on my items. I love my shield. Just come through, bash through. And you don't really have to do too much. You just use your shield and you just bash through. It's my favorite weapon. I've always been consider myself like a tank, and the shield pretty much personifies that. However, the drawback is it makes you waste MP to run. Now, I mean, I guess they have to give it some type of limitation to make it not OP, but it's still pretty OP, especially mine, because I think I have the Intimidator on that. I think that's the thing. I could be wrong, but the Intimidator handles a lot of these small enemies. And right now the Saber Tusk, they're not that terrible. They're not terribly strong by themselves, but they always put you in a group of 5. I'm only at level 2, which isn't bad, but I'm still not that strong. Anywho, if you haven't heard the news already, there's an update that's coming up, which I think it drops in March, I believe. A couple of prominent YouTubers have already reviewed it, and of course I watched because I'm trying to stay up to date on stuff Final Fantasy. But this is, if you haven't watched it already, this is kind of a bit of a spoiler too. They're adding new content for the Comrades mode, which honestly I didn't think they would, because at this point in time I feel like I'm the only one that's playing it right now, because I can never connect to different players, or maybe it's just a server I'm in. No one's on a Tenebrae server, so I'm trying to do a little bit of exploring. They're like, don't go in there. So I was like, whoa, you don't gotta tell me twice. Then again, why would I run into a fully functioning power plant without stuff on? But this lady out here with her little midriff, and she just perfectly fine. Whatever, that's not the point. But anyway, back to the point of this conversation. They have an update coming up, which drops in March the 3rd, I believe. Yes, that's the date, March the 3rd. And it's gonna add new play styles. I believe from what I saw in the trailer, you get a bare-fisted fighting style, kind of like Tifa from Final Fantasy VII, which I thought was pretty cool. I definitely will be getting that, even though I'm not that far. Hopefully it's not locked behind a level requirement. That means I gotta do a lot of grinding, which I have been. You have that. Then you have this. If you ever play Monster Hunter, you have this hunting horn. It looks like a hunting horn, where it's it buffs you. I'm not sure what the buffs are, but kind of casts like faith and bravery and like boosts your stuff and heals you up. They also have like new story content where it places you in the battle. You actually fight Ifrit at the same time as Noctis does after he wakes up from his 10-year sleep. Now, I haven't beaten this yet, so I'm not. It was kind of a bit of a spoiler for me because I hadn't beat it yet. But from what I remember, I'm not sure if you live or die. They kind of leave it up to interpretation, because from what I saw, it just kind of ends after you get to Angel Guard. And I could be wrong. I haven't even experienced it for myself. I just saw it. So eventually I'll be making it to these points and I can get some clarification. And if any of you have any clarification, please just let me know. But you are there during a battle where Noctis raids goes back to Insomnia after everything that happens, which is pretty cool. It gives you context, because I did admit, like, when you got to that end point, and they're supposed to be making that whole map a little bit bigger too, and so there's be more things to explore. While I was talking about that, I completed the mission. Yay! But you're gonna try not to be too scatterbrained. But after that, you are involved in battle. The battle seems more climactic versus it's just us and the bros. We got these couple of side streets we can go through, the little underground subway area, and that's it. You fight Arden and you fight Noctis. I mean, you don't fight Noctis. You fight Arden and Ifrit as Noctis, and then that's it. But with all the new updates in the Royal Edition, it's shaping up. It's giving everything a little bit more context, which is great. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, I did enjoy the regular base story of the game, but having a little bit more makes everything fill out. It makes it that much better, and I'm really glad I stuck around with this game. Eventually, I'm going to do a whole another review, because I went back and watched my original review, and I gave it a B. It deserves way higher than that. So at this point, I'm using some of my power to try to restore some power. I'm still not sure if there's a specific path that you're supposed to go to, but they kind of leave it up to interpretation, which is fine because interpretation is really good. So I'm just going to be looking around and trying to see where I can go. I don't have that much power yet. Different missions give you different sets of power, amount of power kilowatts. I think that's what they are. If I'm wrong about that, please let me know as well. But this is how you get your like different missions and things like that, and different unlockables. But I'm getting to a point to where I'm gonna cut off because I'm gonna hop right into another hunt. It takes a long time for those things to pop up, so instead of watching me try to fail, I'll be back. See you. And we're back. Just loaded up. I tried to find some human players again. It took forever, but still no luck. I was hoping that with the recent announcement of the update, more people would be inclined on playing, and they could help a brother out. I'm still only at level 2, so having a strong person there can help it go about a little bit faster. Even though the AI players are pretty strong too, it's nothing like having that human companionship and you talking through and going through a journey together. You know, that just makes it more fun. Again, I walked around the camp. I just picked up some random food. I don't know what the food does. I don't know how it works. As you may or may not see throughout the journey, we'll be picking up different items and it all makes something completely different. But anyway, this mission is, as you just saw, what a tangle web they weave. This is the mission with the tarantulas and the arcanes. I think that's what they're called. I'm really messing up butchering names, but yeah, this is just the second mission, the level 2 mission. Even though I think you have to be at level 3 or something to actually access it, or that's the suggested level. Though right now, in these missions that are like this, your level doesn't really matter that much. It just depends on your speed. The higher your level is, the faster you go through. But I'm only a level 2, so it's going to take me a while. Fun fact about me, I am actually arachnophobic, but these little ones don't bother me. They don't look real enough to trigger my arachnophobia, because if that's the case, I wouldn't be able to play this game at all. And really, they don't appear too often anyway. This is even in the main story, I think they only appear like maybe 3 or 4 times, not counting that the big cutscene in chapter 12. I think that's chapter 12, where you're on the train and you have to fight all the demons in the train, and Leviathan comes to kill all of them, even though demons appear in the daytime and they're not supposed to due to the premises of the story. Anywho, who's checking for canon like that anymore? Anywho, back to what I was originally talking about with the updates and everything like that. I'm really excited about it. I've got plenty of space on my drive, so I got it open, so whenever it does go live, hopefully I won't have to buy the Royal Edition to access this stuff, because that would suck for me, because I won't be able to get the Royal Edition as of yet. Hopefully that update is free and not tied into the Royal Edition. Speaking of the Royal Edition, I definitely am going to get that. I did a whole review on this. I remember I watched it earlier, and I definitely have to go through and do that, because the audio in it is pretty bad, and I don't have the mic that I have now. I was using my actual headset, my cheap Xbox One headset, using it from the Creator Factory. It was just bad, but you know, you go look back on your stuff and you get better. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to continually get better. But I'm just excited to see how all this new stuff is going to fit in the canon. Now, there's a lot of things that happen that are considered canon breaking, like even in the DLCs. I want to talk about the ones that I think are the least canon breaking is Gladios, in the sense that his story was kind of off on his own. It gives backstory for Core, which you don't really get to play with him. You don't really get to play with him at all. And it gives him backstory on how he called the Immortal One, even though they don't explain what happens to him like during the King's Glaive movie. But then again, I never watched King's Glaive movie, so maybe they do explain it. I don't want to speak out of turn. But Gladio's story, his stuff can stay because it doesn't, in the grand scheme of things, as far as like what happens in the main plot driving forward, it doesn't really do anything, but it does enhance his character for a little bit. It explains his scars, but it should have been like a visible thing for his strength that they should have showed. But his doesn't really break the canon, at least to me. One that does break the canon is sort of his Promptos, because it gives you insight on Goralia, and that's something that people have been asking for, because it kind of goes into how they how they woke up Shiva, and what happens to the guy that was talking in the throne room, not the Emperor, but his second in command. And as I'm talking about this, I've already killed the monster. How he turned into a giant robot, which that was out of nowhere. But they kind of give, that's like backstory, that's lore building, but it doesn't really break the canon in a sense that, was it real or was just Prompto dreaming about it? But they don't really give you a clear answer to that. It leaves it up to interpretation, and that's what the story writers want you to get. But as I draw this to a close, this is pretty much the end of it. I'm going to be cutting it off pretty soon. I'll be continuing this conversation again. I hate to lead you guys on and not give you a satisfying conclusion, but tune in next time to hear my initial thoughts on Ignis's DLC, because that one really does break the canon. Anywho, as you can see, we all grabbed something random. Like, we got mystery meat, and I can't even see what I have, but it made mushrooms. So it's like really random. If someone knows what the meals are, I might look it up myself. But if y'all know what the meals are, let me know. And if you like this video, please leave a like, share, subscribe. If you don't like it, share it to somebody else. But until then, y'all, thank y'all for looking at this, the day, night, morning, whenever y'all looking at this. Next time, Mr. out. The journey will continue. Peace.